Well, it's in effect starting today. A mandatory masking ordinance is in place in Madison County. But there are a lot of different elements to the ordinance that you might not know about. Our Sydney Stallworth breaks down what you need to know.
The Madison County Masking Ordinance is in effect today. We came out to ask locals how they feel about the changes.
I just think it's a great idea. Anything to do your part.
Hopefully the masking ordinance lowers the numbers of people with COVID-19.
I mean, if it helps anyone else out, it's just for the better.
I spoke with some who disagree with the new ordinance, but they declined to appear on camera. One man says it's an infringement upon personal and constitutional rights. According to the ordinance, you must wear some sort of face covering in any business open to the public. The ordinance also requires facial coverings on public transportation like taxis and ride-sharing services. Masks are also required in outdoor areas where 10 or more people are gathered but cannot social distance. Businesses now have to post signs alerting their customers that masks are required. And a facial covering can be considered anything from a standard mask to a cloth or bandana used to cover the mouth and nose. One woman who says she's from out of state says it was a surprise when she didn't see as many masks worn here and in Tennessee.
When I went through Nashville and saw so many people without masks, I was almost horrified. I said, "Oh, stay away from me, please."
We asked her why she wears a mask.
I am over 60, so I am in a more vulnerable situation, and I certainly don't want to take it home or give it to anybody.
But there are a few exceptions to the masking ordinance. Masks aren't required when children are younger than 2 years old, when people are eating or drinking, and when effective speaking is needed for those who are hearing impaired, or in the examination room. And there are a number of other exceptions. You can find all those details on RocketCityNow.com. The ordinance is in effect until further notice. Putting the Valley first, Sydney Stallworth, WZDX News.